Rome didn't fall in war, it ran out of money. When people imagine the fall of Rome, they picture fire and blood, barbarians crashing through the gates, legions collapsing on the battlefield, emperors poisoned in marble palaces. It's a powerful image, but it's also incomplete, because empires rarely die from a single blow. They weaken slowly, quietly, from the inside. And throughout history, one force has destroyed more empires than any army ever could: money. Rome did not fall simply because it was invaded. It fell because its currency collapsed. And once money breaks, everything else follows. The lesson Rome learned 2,000 years ago still applies to every modern economy that believes it can manipulate money without consequences. For centuries, Rome's power rested on more than legions and laws. It rested on trust. That trust was forged into a single object, a silver coin. The Roman denarius was first minted more than 200 years before Christ. It was nearly pure silver, recognizable, reliable, trusted across continents. Roman soldiers were paid in it. Merchants demanded it. Ordinary families saved it. The denarius was not just money, it was confidence, frozen in metal. As long as people believed Rome was strong, they believed its money was real. And for generations, that belief held. But empire is expensive. Armies must be paid, borders defended, roads, aqueducts, and cities maintained. By the 2nd century, Rome was overstretched. Enemies pressed from every direction. Military spending exploded. Tax revenue couldn't keep up. Raising taxes risked revolt, so emperors chose the easier path. They didn't raise taxes. They changed the money. Instead of collecting more silver, they quietly removed silver from the coin itself. The denarius still looked the same, but it wasn't. Early in the empire, the denarius was almost pure silver. Decade by decade, that silver vanished. Half silver became a quarter became a thin coating. Eventually, bronze lay beneath a silver wash. To the government, this felt like a solution. More coins could be minted, more soldiers paid, more bills covered. But the people noticed. Coins felt lighter. They tarnished faster. They rang differently when dropped. Trust began to crack. Once trust faded, prices exploded. A measure of wheat that once cost 1 coin now cost 10, then 20, then more. This was not theory, it was daily life. Soldiers demanded higher pay. Merchants rejected debased coins. Gold and barter replaced money. Local economies collapsed into direct exchange because the currency could no longer be trusted. Rome had entered an inflationary spiral, and the response was always the same: print more coins. The more they printed, the less each one was worth. The crisis reached its peak during the 3rd century. For nearly 50 years, Rome endured chaos, civil wars, invasions, plagues, economic collapse. Emperors ruled briefly, then died violently. Taxes were demanded in money worth less each year. Farmers abandoned their land rather than surrender worthless coins. Trade routes fractured. Cities shrank. The state responded with desperation. Price controls, forced labor, threats of death. None of it worked. You cannot legislate value into broken money. Eventually, Rome admitted defeat. The denarius was abandoned. A new gold coin was introduced. Pure, consistent, trusted. Stability returned, but only in the East. The Western Empire was already hollowed out. Its economy was broken, its armies underpaid, its people distrustful. Rome did not collapse in a single moment. It unraveled. and currency collapse was one of the sharpest threads pulling it apart. Rome was not unique. Centuries later, Germany followed the same path after World War I. Money was printed to escape debt. Savings evaporated. Extremism rose. Zimbabwe repeated it in the modern age. Money lost meaning. The currency was abandoned entirely. Different nations, different eras, same outcome. Today, the entire world runs on fiat money, currency backed not by metal, but by trust. Trust that governments will restrain themselves. Trust that debts will remain manageable. Trust that money will hold value. History suggests otherwise. Inflation is not an accident. It is policy, a silent tax that transfers wealth quietly, invisibly, relentlessly. Rome believed it could disguise weakness by altering money. Every empire since has learned the same lesson. When money stops being real, society follows. Contracts fail. Trade collapses. Governments lose legitimacy. The barbarians may arrive at the end, but the real collapse always begins in the treasury. History doesn't repeat word for word, but it always rhymes. Rome's currency crisis was not just ancient history, it was a warning, and that warning has never expired. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe. History still has answers if we're willing to listen.